Docs for POC. She graduated from Columbia University, Vigil College of Physicians and Surgeons, with membership in the Alpha Omega Alpha Honor Society and the Gold Humanism Honor Society. Please welcome Dr. Rawlins.
Hello everyone. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for being here today. As Kim so kindly mentioned, my name is Yasmin, and along with an amazing team of colleagues and friends, I created Docs for POC, Docs for People of Color. I had just turned 19 years old when I marched in my first protest. It was February 2012, and a beautiful 17-year-old boy by the name of Trayvon Martin had just been murdered walking home from a 7-Eleven, wearing a hoodie and holding a bag of Skittles. When we heard the news, we cried, and then we marched. But a year later, Trayvon's killer was found not guilty. I can't describe the feeling in my heart. All of our pain, all of our anger, all of our tears, all of our chanting, and it felt like nothing had happened. What I didn't know at that time was that something had indeed happened. A seed had been planted. In me, in my friends who marched with me, in the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement, whose hashtag Black Lives Matter began that summer of 2013 after George Zimmerman's acquittal. But then, in July 2014, Eric Garner was murdered by the NYPD while screaming for help, yelling, "I can't breathe." We cried, then we marched again, and again, nothing seemed to happen. The next month, August 2014, Michael Brown Jr. was murdered by police in Ferguson, Missouri. We cried again, and we marched again. The Black Students Organization at Harvard, where I was in college at the time, organized the first die-in I attended on the steps of Memorial Church. I majored in African and African American history, and I remember learning about Harvard, like so many of the old institutions we so revere, and its muddied history of slavery, racism, segregation, and discrimination since its founding in 1636. As a Black woman, I imagined my ancestors, slaves, who had helped build the university and the very steps we laid our bodies on. I imagined them gathered around us, cheering us on. But still, nothing seemed to happen. In July 2015, Sandra Bland died by alleged suicide in her Texas jail cell. In July 2016, Philando Castile was shot dead by police in his own car in Minnesota, sitting right next to his partner and his 4-year-old daughter. That same month, we watched on video as Alton Sterling was held to the ground and shot 6 times at close range by police in Baton Rouge. The Louisiana Attorney General's office believed the officers were reasonably and justifiable in their actions, and no charges were subsequently filed. The list goes on, and every time we cried, and then we marched, and nothing seemed to happen. After graduating from college, I started medical school. Suddenly, there was no time to march. I had tests to study for and clinical rotations to pass. As a Black woman, my ancestors sacrificed everything so that I could be so lucky as to graduate from college and go to medical school. Make no mistake, I was indeed very, very lucky. They didn't sacrifice all that, I thought, for me to fail now. So I studied, and I studied, and studied some more. But I couldn't hide from my past, or my family's past, in my textbooks. I could see the scars of slavery, of racism, of segregation, of generational trauma in my community every single day. I saw it in my patients, in my sisters, my Black sisters, who are 40% more likely to die of breast cancer and who have a 2.2 times higher rate of infant mortality. My Black brothers, who have 2 times the risk of having a first-time stroke. In our children, who are 1.8 times more likely to have asthma and 3.5 times more likely to die as an infant due to complications of low birth weight. I am a future psychiatrist, God willing, but my community is 20% more likely to report psychological distress and 50% less likely to receive mental health treatment or counseling. So when we say racism is a public health issue, when we say police brutality is a public health issue, when we say, listen to us, please listen to us, we are suffering, we mean it, and we mean it with everything that we have. But I have hope. Seeing you all here today gives me hope. Seeing friends and co-workers march for the first time, say Black Lives Matter for the first time, say I'm sorry for all of this for the first time, I have hope. I started Docs for POC from that hope. It was a dream that became a reality through pure and powerful hope. The initiatives that we plan to work on the handouts that we've given out before you and on our website, these are the hopes and dreams we have for the future. The seed that was planted all those years ago has grown into a tree, tall and strong. Now, we are determined, not just to cry, not just to march, but to finally make something happen in honor of the lives, countless and too many, that have been lost. We, the Black community, have been through incredible pain, but in our pain, we find our power. We are resilient beyond measure. So I ask you all to say Black Lives Matter one time with me, from the bottom of your heart, so that the person sitting next to you and the entire city of Los Angeles can hear you proclaim it. I would like us to say Black Lives Matter on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Black Lives Matter! Thank you all.